Brentford. Fantastic win for them, beating Liverpool 3-1. We have to speak about Liverpool, though, who I think have had an awful season, especially when you think of how close they were to almost immortality last season. I know Crookie likes to say...
Two penalty shootout
I know Crookie was going to say that, 2 penalty shootouts, but they were that close to a quadruple. And the way in which they've fallen off sort of has to be discussed a bit more. It can't just be Sadio Mane. It can't just be... I get it, world-class player leaving the club, but it's the same midfield. It's the same midfield that got them to nearly a quadruple last season. Everyone keeps talking about the midfield. Up front, it's clearly not worked with Darwin Núñez. Van Dijk looks a little bit off. Robertson, who I think is the engine master of the team, in and out of the squad, whether it be injuries or maybe Shimikas getting a run. Yesterday just summed it all up for me. Yesterday they were awful. Good for 10 minutes. Apart from that, I mean, Brentford could have been 4-0 up at half-time. What has gone wrong there? I mean, everyone likes to point at the midfield. Is it just simply a case of the engine room has run out of petrol? What's going on?
I think it's a combination of factors. I think Sadio Mane's departure, for me, is a big one. I don't think enough was made of it at the time. I was amazed that Liverpool allowed one of their star performers not only to leave, but to leave for a relatively modest sum. Obviously, they brought in Darwin Núñez. He's a very different player. He's a very raw player. He's yet to prove he can score goals on a regular basis in the Premier League. They've been a bit unlucky with injuries because obviously Jota would have had a bigger role to play had he not have got injured.
Luis Diaz as well.
Diaz too. The midfield has been a problem for some time, and it's been a problem that Jurgen Klopp has almost turned a blind eye to. So I think that's an issue. Van Dijk's form, as you've mentioned. But for me, it comes down to the ownership structure. And we're talking a lot about Jude Bellingham possibly being a Liverpool target next summer. I can't see that, and I can't see that for the simple reason that the owners at Liverpool don't spend £120 million on one player. That isn't their business model. That there's talk yesterday that maybe Matheus Núñez at Wolves is a more realistic target. With the greatest respect in the world, that's a big downgrade from Jude Bellingham. And I think that really sums up where Liverpool are as a football club. You could argue, Jurgen Klopp might argue that with that in mind, he's overachieved, to get as close as they have to Manchester City over the past few years. But ultimately, it is just that one league title to show for all the plaudits that Jurgen Klopp has got. And I don't think he does himself any favours when he comes out and makes the kind of derisory comments that he did about Brentford yesterday. He comes across as a sore loser. I didn't see it.
Let's hear what he has to say. This is what Jurgen Klopp had to say after the game yesterday when he was speaking to the media.
Watch them back. Do me a favor, just watch them back. There's full body contact all the time, and with grabbing and stuff like this, and holding the decisive player, and blocking here and there. It's most of the things are completely fine, and some are not, and that's what they. And when the ref can't see it, then it's still fine. But why does Brentford score a lot of goals from offensive set pieces, but concedes quite a lot of goals from defensive set pieces? Because there you cannot do it. You cannot do it exactly the same. Otherwise, it's a penalty. But again, how I said, tonight was one offensive foul of the set piece, and it was from us, and that's really funny.
A lot of people talk about Jurgen Klopp as sort of being this moaner now and a man that clearly doesn't take defeat well, and I don't mind that. You're not supposed to take defeat well as a top manager, and I don't mind him complaining when I feel like there's something to complain about. Yesterday, Brentford just outfought and outbattled Liverpool, and that's what Liverpool have done to teams for several years under Jurgen Klopp, right? Liverpool have not had the greatest players, but they're able to just literally just almost rush you, make you not breathe, and that's what Brentford done to us. And it's funny how he doesn't like what he's done to teams for so many years being done to him.
Shoes on the other foot, right?
It's unbelievable. I can't believe he complained about anything at the corners. I mean, Liverpool have 2 6'4", 6'5" centre-backs in Van Dijk and Konate, and you're complaining about the dark arts at corners. It's incredible.
Look, Brentford saw something that was a weak link for Liverpool, definitely on set pieces. So if you're going to get in there and you're going to rough people up, that's what you have to do. Listen, Brentford are not going to play Liverpool nice. Brentford, you're coming to our ground, and we're gonna make you compete. We're gonna make you have to fight for everything you have. And Liverpool didn't want to fight for it. Brentford bullied them. Brentford were worthy winners. Let's be honest, they were worthy winners, and Liverpool just couldn't compete. And that, you can't really say that about Liverpool over the past few years. But this season, Liverpool haven't been the competitive Liverpool that we know.
Is it stubbornness on a part with Klopp as well? I mean, this high line that he continues to play, and it's fine when you play a high line when you've got maybe sort of defensive midfielders in there that are going to support the defenders, but if Jordan Henderson's not in there and if Fabinho's off the boil, surely you have to think of, okay, maybe we drop a bit deeper. Maybe it's just, a few metres back. Like, we can't keep playing this high line because Mbeumo, that first little race he had with Van Dijk, and he beat Van Dijk, which surprised me, if I'm honest with you. From then on, you press the panic button and like, okay, we can't play this high line because he's got the beating of our fastest defender. Surely then you kind of come together and you're like, okay, we need to figure this out here because this isn't working.